Hello all, and welcome back to the last section of Python tips, tricks, and techniques. So this is a course where we take the best Python tips and tricks from the Python standard language, hidden deep in the documentation, to help you become a better Python programmer. So in this last section, it's going to be the best of the best tips in Python, where they're not as grouped as the other sections, but still very useful and very key to being a good Python programmer. In this section, we're focusing on creating safer and cleaner applications with Pythonic patterns. In this section, we're going to take a look at 5 different patterns that would help you to become a better Python programmer. So number 1, we'll talk about enumerating the indices of your loops with no extra lines. Number 2, we're going to underscore useless variables to make our code easier to look at. Number 3, we're going to explore the uncommon for-else loop to end our iteration and situations where this might make sense to use. In the 4th pattern, I'm going to show you a very quick way of pretty printing any Python data structure. In the last video, I'm going to talk about how we can manage our dynamic resources instead of using open and close carefully with context managers. So let's go in and have a deep dive at each of these patterns. The first pattern we're going to take a look at is enumerating the indexes of your loops with no extra lines. So let's see what the problem is and then how we can solve it. So I'm in the Jupyter notebook. We have a fresh new notebook for all the tips and tricks in chapter 6. So what is enumerating the indexes of your loops with no extra lines? So imagine if you want to do the following, right? Imagine if you have a list where you have a list of names. So Angela, John, Mary, Sam. So you want to output a numbered list of all of these names, maybe for a roll call, or maybe just simply to output it into a website or an email. So one of the ways we can do this is we can say, okay, let's keep track of how many persons we have printed out in the terminal so far, and then we'll increment it every time. So we can say person number starts at 1, and then for name, we print person number plus dots plus name, right? And then every time we process a person that is printing the name of the person, we increment person number by 1. So if we run this code, note that I actually had to add string back in to convert this into string, funnily enough. We then have our ordered list where each name has number before it. So that's nice and good. But then what we don't like actually is the fact that we need to keep track of this. We need to keep track of person number. Second thing is we need to increment the person number every time we do this. So the second way for us to do this is to use a very handy function called enumerate. So let's see what it does. So enumerate x. So this returns a generator, right? So it shows us that we can use enumerate in a for loop, because a for loop takes a list or an iterator. So let's just look into what enumerate does by unrolling this generator. So what enumerate does is actually attach an index in front of the name, right? So the way we use this in a for loop to keep track of the item number that we're currently dealing with is following. We first do for, and then using tuple unpack, we can unpack the index and also the name in enumerate x, and then all we need to do is print string index. So running this, we actually see that we again get an ordered list, but then the problem is because all indexes start at 0 in computer science or programming languages, what we actually needed to do is to actually increment the index by 1, which is what we've done here. And then now we have easily generated the same list, but look how much cleaner our code is, right? So very simple. And that's all there is to it. It's very, very easy. This is a quick trick for you to put numbers sequentially in front of your lists when you are looping through them with no extra lines and very clean.